Hey, fanatics! Welcome to the So I'm a Fan Of podcast, where people from different fandoms come together to share why they love what they love.
And sometimes hate what they hate.
I'm your host, Kaiser Brown, and of course, today I'm joined by...
Sabrina Gill, the best co-host.
If you say so. So, Sabrina, what are we going to be talking about today?
So, I'm a fan of Kobato.
Let's get started.
Woo! So I guess I'm leading today, and of course, today's main event. For those of you who don't know, Kobato is a lovely little slice of life series with a little hint of romance that follows a girl, Kobato, on her journey to heal people's broken hearts in an attempt to have her wish fulfilled.
Can I read the synopsis?
Yes, go ahead.
I wrote the synopsis. I got it from Wikipedia. Here we go. Kobato is a sweet, perky, cute, yet naive girl who has a contract. To go to a certain place, she must fill a mysterious bottle with people's healed hearts to do so. However, the restriction is that she must finish before the 4 seasons end. As Kobato attempts to fulfill her mission, she's accompanied by, how do you say his name? Iorgi? That's how
Iorogi.
Iorogi.
So she doesn't pronounce his name right either, if it makes you feel better. She calls him Iorogi. Yeah. All right, Iorogi, but it's Iorogi.
Iorogi. Okay, Iorogi. I'm gonna miss it.
It's okay. Iorogi is how she calls him, but it's Iorogi.
Okay, how she said it. A spirit in the form of a dog plushie. Because dog plushie is responsible for a punishment that has been applied to him and his friends from the spiritual world, he must guide Kobato and ensure that she succeeds her mission so that he and his friends might return to their true form.
All that is to say, you start the show, you actually will not know any of this information until the end. Or it gives you breadcrumbs along the way.
Yep, and all we know at the beginning is that she has to go to a place, she has to get a bottle, and she has to fill it with broken hearts.
Yeah, there's legitimately a joke where he's like, you can't go around saying it like that. It makes you sound like you're trying to break all these people's hearts on purpose. But it's not fully explained in the beginning, and not to get too spoilery from what happens later on, because we'll only be talking about the first 3 episodes. But it's kind of related to the fact of the idea of doing goodwill to compensate for Iorogi-san's digressions. Like, he messed up. And as a result, he's using Kobato as a way to fulfill his promise of doing good when he has once done bad. And in exchange for helping him, he will fulfill her wish.
Wow.
But yeah, maybe we'll talk some more at the end as to why that is, like we talked about in private, if you want to. If not, we'll keep it a mystery till the end, and they'd have to go watch it to find out.
So, Sabrina, what's your history with Kobato in general? And maybe even Clamp. That's what I want to know, because you seem like a Clamp girly. Like, you know your stuff.
Okay.
Stuff that I don't know.
So I'm no Clamp master, but actually my first ever anime was Cardcaptor Sakura, which is another series done by Clamp. And that follows, obviously, this young girl, Sakura, Avalon, or Fujimoto, depending on if you heard the poor English dub or if you heard the Japanese.
Oh, the second English dub, like me. That's the one I heard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You heard the good English dub. I heard the one that was off YouTube that was, like, bootlegged. Back when you could watch anime on YouTube and it would be, like, in 24 different parts. And there was, like, the size of a credit card on your phone.
That's us early 2000 kids that we know. The 90s kids, what they know is like going to these like shady stores and ordering these videotapes. We know the YouTube side where we go and watch the 24 clips. Sailor Moon, I remember doing that on YouTube when they didn't have the Viz dub, all the shows.
Yes. So I was obsessed with Cardcaptor Sakura, which I make Kaiser let me have an episode on Cardcaptor Sakura someday, because it's so good. So, of course, that leads into Clamp, because the thing about Clamp that makes them so special is all of their series have these connecting threads. Almost like it's all part of this soul-like universe, if you will. There are, like, multiple dimensions where the characters connect across the different dimensions. Of course, you start one, you end up getting pulled into another. Sometimes it's very obvious that they connect. Like the Tsubasa Chronicles, Triple X Holic. They're a little more obvious because they also focus on, like, the spiritual and, like, the dimensional worlds. But in more so Kobato and Cardcaptor Sakura, it's not as obvious. They don't necessarily talk about them directly, but you see people and you're like, oh, you're from this. There's actually a character we meet at the end of the 3rd episode that is like this, that is from a smaller one-shot series that they had. I think it was 3 books. We love Kohaku.
What series?
It was called Wish, is the name of the series. It was about, ironically, Kohaku had a wish, similar to Kobato, and in order to have it fulfilled, of course, she has her own trials and tribulations. I just went down the clamp rabbit hole, as you will, like I said. And of course, I fell in love with Kobato. Same situation where I was very fortunate to watch it for free, multiple parts on YouTube, brought to me by some bootleg hero out there. But as I got older and I had the money, I started obviously collecting the manga. There are these very pretty, like, pink novels. Like, they're just such her personality. It's like the pinks, the blues, the yellows that make me think of that very serene and innocent girl known as Kobato. It's, like, real cute. Do you have any experience, Kaiser, with Kobato, Clamp, anything like that?
I do have experience with Clamp. My first thing was Cardcaptor Sakura. Sakura.
Yes.
Depending on what you watch. But that was when I was like 14. I watched a few episodes and I kept going back between the years. Every few years is going back from where I last left off until I decided to really dive deep into it in COVID in 2020. When I was 21, just watched the full series and then cried my eyes out.
My fake fan. I was there in the beginning.
It's okay. It's okay because I watched the dub that did all the episodes because it was on Crunchyroll and then it was also on Netflix. They added it to Netflix in 2020, that same dub. And I watched the Japanese one a little bit. I just didn't like the Japanese voices like that. They were kind of not annoying, but they were squeaky or something from what I remember. There was something. I don't remember what.
They're just young, and so children can sometimes sound like that being animated. Like, I 100% get it. I think, like, specifically in, I think it was the Clear Card movie, Shoran's voice I was definitely like, at some points, kid, are you okay? Like you need some water?
Yeah. I think they probably just leaned too far into it. That's probably my thing. So I watched the English dub because I always start with English dubs anyway. I hardly watch subs anyway. Not that I have anything against subs. I watch my dub. So it was Cardcaptor Sakura. And then I got into Rig Veda. I think that's how you pronounce it. Last year for the episode that I did with Alyssa Vessel. So I'm a fan of shoujo. And I just consumed a whole bunch of shoujo stuff. Just a lot, and Rig Veda was one of them, and that one messed me up.
They usually do.
Yeah, Clamp, from what I recognize and see, they have a lot of stuff that mess you up. I forgot. I also watch, never finished yet, but every now and then, like Cardcaptor Sakura, I go back to it every now and then between the years. Is Magic Knight Ray Earth, and I enjoy that show. I'm in the very beginning episodes of that show. And I just return to it when I feel like watching it. So that's my history with Clamp. The only series I finished in animation was Cardcaptor Sakura. I did not read the manga. I read a little bit of Clear Card, but didn't finish that. And I almost finished Clear Card, the anime, but then they removed it off of Hulu. So I couldn't finish it. Because when I watched it in English, I decided to finish it in English because it's a whole thing. If I'm starting to watch this show in English, I want to finish it in English just so it feels like one whole thing, unless it's just not available. And yeah, that's my history of Clamp. It's not that long. I'm not a Clamp girly. I like Clamp though. I really do. That stuff interests me. But it can get real sad sometimes, especially if you did Rig Veda. That was their first series. And I was like, oh, so we doing that. Okay. And then I was like, okay, let me back up a second. But I feel like a lot of Clamp series have this feeling, even like I was saying with Kobato, it feels like happy and stuff, right? And it is happy, but it has like this feeling of melancholy in between there. Like something is beneath the surface.
No, I agree. Yeah. It's meant to have the naivety of the main character, Kobato, but it has like this underlying tone of seriousness. And that kind of plays on that part again that I mentioned, where it's like, we know what's on the surface level of what we're seeing, but there's so much more that's going on past and beyond whatever we can see. That's
why I like Cardcaptor Sakura out of all the Clamp ones, because you see like the serious stuff happening, but you're seeing it through like the kids' eyes. You're always at the kid's perspective. You know what I mean? That's what I like about that show. It's always from Sakura's perspective. It isn't like when it does the more adult stuff, they look at it, they show it with a innocence, because we're experiencing it through her eyes. We're not experiencing it through some 30-year-old's eyes. We're experiencing it through a 10-year-old kid's eyes.
Mhm.
And you can just like really feel that innocence. And that's why every time I turned on that show, I would feel like this weird, fuzzy feeling. And even with I loved when they did the romance on all the romances, on most of the romances, not all of them, because some of them were problematic, but most of the romances on the show, you you saw it through like this eyes of innocence, and like you never really. It was just nice to see romances that were like that innocent. You didn't see no kissing or nothing. Not that we don't like to see our favorite characters kiss every now and then or whatever, but it was just like it was pure. You know what I'm trying to say?
It just has a like you said, it's like an innocence. It's like it's not too long, it's not too short. It's a moment to show like yes, that there's this bond, there's this intimacy like connection, but it's not overdoing it like some media can. Hey fanatics, you know what time it is. That's right. Let's do some trivia. How many Clamp series have cameos in Kobato? A. 8. B. 2. C. 10. Or D. 14. This requires a bit of counting, but we're sure you can do it. We'll reveal the answer right at the end of this episode. Do, 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 do. So we have episode 1, A Girl's Wish. Kobato Hanato arrives in the human world and takes on several tests given by Iorogi-san in order to prove herself worthy of the bottle. Due to her naivety, Kobato gets herself into trouble until a stranger saves her. She has varying degrees of success with the test, but after her singing calms a crying baby in a cherry blossom park, she receives the bottle. So, of course, as we said, she arrives in the human world, and where does she land other than this children's park of the city, which is very symbolic just because a lot of her motifs include this baby bird, if you will, this like little blue bird, which is kind of like the symbol for her. It's in her accessories, it's in her bottle that she uses for the hearts of people. And it's just like a very wholesome beginning. They pop out of thin air, and it's like a very cute moment where Iorogi-san is like this very aggressive personality, is like, okay, we have a mission. Like, are you listening? And she's cheerful and excited, but she almost has this naivety of like, she doesn't fully understand like the seriousness of the situation. She's trying to have fun. She's going to do her best, but she's a little bit of an airhead. You can definitely tell. She's definitely easily, I wouldn't say easily led astray, but she definitely gets wrapped up in the world around her easily, caught up in the motions of what's going on around. And of course, she has the beginnings of what is her test, because she can't just receive the bottle to start healing people's hearts. She has to earn it. Iorogi-san says he's going to rate her almost like a test, like so much out of 100. And by doing different tasks, she'll earn points. And at the end of the day, if she can prove that she's capable, she gets her bottle.
My poor sister was about to get picked up by some strange men. They're like, let's get you a coffee. And I'm like, And you can already tell. What happened is, so this lady dropped like this bag of garbage. And you know what she did? She picked it up, tried to take it to the garbage bin, and the crows were there. And she read the sign. And so she opened up the garbage bag for the crows to come.
Okay, because so the sign said, be careful of crows, they eat the trash. And so in her mind, she's like, oh, if I just open the bag and let them eat it, then there's no mess because they're just eating from the bag instead of tearing it open. But that leads to a chase, obviously. Birds aren't nice. They don't understand that. They're like, just give me the food, girl.
And then she runs into the men who try to pick her up for coffee. And then Iorogi, I hope I said that right, attacks them with his fire. And then so she goes and runs after them to see if they are right. And then they about to beat her up. And that's when Fujimoto comes in the picture, right?
He's this too cool, tall guy who steps in to help her. But he's very like a stickler. He's like, man, you're acting all dumb out here talking to random strangers, accepting stuff from them without thinking about, something bad's gonna happen to you. And so he kind of just storms off after being rude to her. Not a good first impression at all. But obviously he has main character energy, so it's fine.
Obviously. Do you like his design? I'm not sure I really feel it. I don't know if it's just because he a mean guy with glasses, and I don't know why I would have something against that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just like my taste. It's not my taste.
So I get where you're coming from, I definitely get what you mean, but at the same time, I think I just like him because, like, obviously for me, it's the nostalgia, like, I know from beginning to end, and I'm kinda like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this makes so much sense, I love him." So
Um,
I'm just, like, got my rose-tinted glasses on, but I get
yeah.
why you'd feel that way. He's, like, real lanky, he's got a very grouchy personality, and, like, the way the artist creates, like, the face shapes and stuff, the glasses are definitely not necessarily flattering to, like, the Dorito head, but
I'm not saying he's ugly, he just rubs me the wrong way. I obviously can tell that there's more under the surface and that he's a good guy, obviously. It's just he's just not my favorite character is what I'm trying to say. But Kobato ends up going to a festival, right? And he's working at that festival
uh
until he gets a call
he gets the
from this
ring that someone's in danger. He has to go.
mhm.
Autobots rolling out.
Yeah, it's somebody named Miss Sayaka, and she calls him, and he's like, "They're back again," and he runs off, and Kobato is there are these kids playing with a ball, and then they mistakenly throw it at her by mistake, and so she tries to throw it back, but somehow the ball boomerangs when she throws it back at the kids to give it to them into the food truck that Fujimoto was working at, and
Mhm.
so it knocks over the food and stuff, and she feels so bad, and so she offers the man who's running the food truck to help him. And she does a good job. She does a good job, but it gets
Uh,
to a point where she has to stew some people's hot pot for them, and she starts adding some random ingredients like chocolate, and
hey, it don't matter because it tasted good.
it
Everybody
tasted
liked it.
good. Uh-huh, and that's cool. Everybody liked it. It made me hungry. That's for sure. And if you make me hungry, then you probably know you did a good job. Okay?
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
of course, at the end of the night, the manager is very much, like, thankful for her help, but she still, at this point, has not necessarily received the best grade from Irogi-san. There's
Mhm.
always some hiccup, which just happens to be her caveat of her character. She does her best, and that's great, but, it's always done a little clumsily, which we find charming,
Relatable.
obviously.
Very relatable. Like, cause come on. I did my job. I helped people. She sung to a baby. I
No,
mean, it's right after.
yeah, I was about to say, it's when she sings because the grandmother has the baby who won't stop crying at night, and Kobato offers to sing, and it's at that point that Iorogi-san can't, like, falter anymore. So,
No, cause she sings and
oh,
he
that's
gives her the
right.
bad grade, and then the grandma comes and sees her talking to thin air, and
She's not talking to thin air, she sees her talking to
yeah,
the
but
stuffed dog.
Yeah, but and she goes and she talks to her and thanks her. And I just found that so sweet because I liked her voice. I don't remember what she was singing, but I remember it was just sweet. It was a cute voice, and the people tried to get a full on free concert. I'm like, you better pay up if I'm about to sing all this for you. Not really, but if you're gonna be working me like that, I thought it was so hilarious. And the baby fell asleep because the baby couldn't sleep without his mama. Only fell asleep to his mother's voice, and the grandma was like, "It never falls." She, I think it was a she, never falls
Yes.
asleep to my voice, but when his mother's voice is around, it was a cute little baby too. Oh my gosh, she falls asleep, and so Kabato gave it a try, and the baby was happy, and everything was okay, and the grandma thanked her, and that's how she got a good grade. It was great. It was so cute.
And then her magic bottle fell from the sky, and it was up to her to now fill it with broken hearts.
Mm.
When I was younger, I always wanted one of those glass bottles.
Sabrina, so since you've seen the show, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
did you watch the intro, the opening sequence?
So, a long time ago, yes, but now I have a personal, like, preference of until, like, I've reached, like, to a certain point in the show, I won't watch it because it's some anime will have it to where the opening basically spoils the whole show. Every single character in context of where they live or what they do in the series. But I have heard the song, obviously. I have Kobato's song and then the opening are on my studio playlist.
Okay, okay, because I enjoyed those songs a lot, and I enjoyed the different outfits she changed into on the intro that she does wear in the show. But I
Yes.
found that so cute. Her outfits are so cute. She's such a cute character. Clamp knows
She
how to
really
make
is.
stylish characters. They really do. Clamp be on point for the women and the men characters. They always have the most stylish characters. I just
Which
love when characters look like they walk off a fashion runway.
they really do, and that's the thing too though, because so some artists, like, when it comes to manga and anime, they either do, like, really good I say regular clothes, like, people walking on the street kinda wear, or they do like
Mhm.
really good like fantasy armor, like crazy outfits real well.
Mhm.
But sometimes they like fall flat in like the opposite, if you will. So they'll either do really good modern clothes, but then they have to do like a fancy outfit, and it was, man, that looks a little plain. Or maybe
Mhm.
they do the fancy outfits and they go to do like a more plain attire, and it just looks
Mhm.
like very bland, like a little neglected in comparison to the more extravagant outfits. But I feel like Clamp does a really good job of doing both. Like really good at like more of a standard like what a young girl would wear on the streets like we see in Kobato versus like in Cardcaptor Sakura. Sakura just basically has all these cool outfits every time she has to go into battle. Like
She
every
even
other
has
episode, she
really
got something new.
sh yeah, she has really cute casual outfits too. To live in a world where everybody wore clothes, where they walk down the runway, basically. That's the world I would live in. That's my favorite type
I
of
can never
world.
live in that world, Kaiser. I look like a bum half the time.
No, you don't.
Anyway, I guess we move on to episode 2. Yoryogi tells Kobato she must heal people's hearts in order to fill her bottle. She runs into a man giving out tissues and helps him by taking the whole box. While passing them out, she walks into the same stranger from before. Kobato follows him to say thank you and ends up at a daycare, Yomogi Nursery, run by Sayaka Okiura. She finds out that the stranger, Kiyokazu Fujimoto, works there and spends the day playing with the children there. At the end of the day, she finds a boy from the nursery on a swing set. He tells her that his mother can't pick him up yet, but asks Kobato not to think badly of her because she is working hard for his sake. Kobato praises his mother, healing his heart and earning her first completo. Um,
This episode touched my heart.
it really
Oh, it was
is.
so s
And
it was
apparently I
so
have dementia because I thought the tissue guy was the first episode, but it's obviously the
yeah.
second one.
No, it's fine because it was funny because he was so shy. He was so shy and he tried to get the tissues and he just put them off on her. Luckily, she went to the kindergarten and Fujimoto ended up there. How she treated the kids to just play with them, that's what I like about her is that she's basically just as innocent as those children in a lot of ways. And just really just her like playing with them and she doesn't treat little kids like just little kids. She plays with them like they're her playmates, and I
Yeah.
found that to be so cute. And to
Well,
see her and Fujimoto interact with each other more, he's really just mean, but it
mhm.
was nice to see how caring he is, like, towards the kids and also how caring he is to the teacher, Miss Sayaka. It was really great.
Yeah. And I think it's, like, a good point to make too, though. It's, like, it's in this moment we see that so Kawato definitely has, like, a childlike innocence, like I keep saying. But she has this quality of not making preconceived judgments in things, like, choosing to, like, in a sense, see it with her own eyes. And some people may say that's part of her naivety, which it definitely is. But at the same time, I think it's a very noble characteristic, especially, like, as we have it today, where people are quick to see something on the internet or to hear information from other people and to decide how they feel about something without personally experiencing it. Prime example, Fujimoto. Like any person on the street who was treated like how he treated Kobato probably would have been like, oh man, this guy's a jerk. Brah! Blow him off, be angry. But no matter how many times he picks on Kobato, yeah, she'll get a little flustered and a little frustrated, but she's not afraid to bark back in her own like cute way. It'd be
Mhm.
like, no, I'm like confident. Like, why are you looking down on me? I'm gonna do great. And just overwhelming optimism that kind of like combats his more realistic perspective, which I think
Yeah.
later on in the show starts to become like this really beautiful like duality that like he's like the like good cop versus bad cop, if you will. He's the gruff, serious one who's a little more responsible. Meanwhile, she's like the soft, gentle, like more empathetic one, which I think
Mm.
is really nice, which Misayaka needs because it's implied that she is a little helpful to people. Even though she's a very serious and
Yeah.
understanding adult, she seems to, according to Fujimoto anyway, get taken advantage of a little bit because of her kindness
Mhm.
and willingness to go help people out. It's definitely like the beginning of Kabato establishing herself in this community as she begins her journey to heal broken hearts.
Also, she just treats her stuffed animal dog friend so wrong. I know he mean, but she just be forgetting him
It's not
everywhere.
on
Just leave him
purpose,
alone. Well,
though.
I know, but she like he just falls out or she never thinks about like, oh, where is he? I mean, she thinks about it, but she never realizes that she drops him. And so he always put in like these situations to where he has to hide that he's like
It's not even hide,
sentient
he has to,
being.
like, slowly move, like,
Yeah.
across distances as nobody's looking, which
Uh-huh.
is funny.
And
It's, like, comedic relief,
When she was playing with the children and
Mhm,
one of the little kids, Toshihiko, who we'll get to in a second, when they're asking about her parentage and if she had a family and
mhm.
how, oh, I just loved the subtle storytelling. Where when he asked, he brought her down and he was like, "Do you even have a father?" And she was like, "Well, I don't know." And then he got quiet for a second, and that was just so and all the kids were being chatty or whatever, he just got quiet for a second, and it was just for a little second until Miss Sayaka came in, and then he got excited again, just like that
Well,
oh, I just love when
wasn't it
shows
more
some story.
all the kids were asking, and then
Mhm.
he realized, like, he put 2 and 2 together that she not have a father, and that's when he kinda changed
Yeah.
the subject?
Yeah,
And
because he asked her though, because he realized and while they were still being chatty and stuff, that's when he realized, and that's when he got a little quiet for a second.
which I think it's cool though too, because there are multiple ways that, like, children grow up and or how they act. There are some that are a lot more, like, cheerful and, like, the stereotypical children, lighthearted, no care in the world, and then there are children we see that actually feel a lot of responsibility towards those who
Mhm,
take care of them just because 'cause they're maybe not from the best situations. It was, like, refreshing, it was, like, relatable, and of lo and behold, it would be her first opportunity to heal her.
mhm,
Which it was, like, a really cute scene, like, her getting off the day at the kindergarten and going to the park that she's living in, only to see him alone on the swing set,
mhm.
and it was just also just a nice moment to see him talk about his mom, and then the moment, like, he automatically, like, jumps to defend his mom only for Kobato to say, "That's amazing, your mom's amazing, she's doing such a good job."
It's amazing that she works hard for you and everything, like, she did not do any like, all the moms at the kindergarten were saying, "Oh, it's such a shame that she's not here on time," and this, that, and the other. She did the opposite, and she was like, "That's amazing that your mom is doing everything that she can for you. She's awesome. She's the best." That's how she was.
Yes. I agree. And then just to, like, have him cry in her arms, like, that happiness of, like, "Oh, man, somebody else gets it." Because 'Cause I'm sure, like, deep down in his heart, he also maybe felt a little bit of that hesitancy like the other moms did. Maybe he felt that, like, what is, like, doubt in that maybe his mom really it doesn't want him. But I feel
Mhm,
like her acknowledging his feelings and, like, his mom's hard work, like, just it made him realize that, "Yeah, I'm not wrong in feeling how I feel. My mom's doing a great job."
yeah.
And of course, she gets the first healed heart, and I don't do you know what completo is?
It's like a candy, right?
Yeah. I forget the actual name of what he called them, but he said it's basically a completo. It's like a little candy, and it's up to her to collect all these cutely colored candies, and I
Mhm,
personally love how each person kinda gets, like, their own colored candy, if you will, almost as if to say, like, each person is an individual, is their own color and shape and size, and
yeah.
it was, like, some really nice cute symbolism while also, like, keeping to the theme of the innocence of Kobato.
Oh,
And,
I'm about to cry because it was so sweet. Oh, goodness. 'Cause his mom and dad got a divorce, and so he doesn't really see his dad, and his mom was just working so much for him, and she cooks breakfast for him, and she does all this stuff, and even though she's late, she does her best for her child, and he sees that, and he loves her anyway, and it's so sweet because we see instances in real life where people might talk into your ear, and even though your parents do the best they can, and it's very valid to feel that way too, to where you might not feel they might not give you enough time, but it's also valid to recognize and understand that they do work hard for you. And it's just sweet that we saw a different side to that too, because everybody's situation different. Oh, man.
I think it
Like,
was
my
too.
gosh.
I like it because I know that obviously as the series progresses, there are more instances with children, but I think, like, in these series that, like, show the different perspectives of children, like, it's important to capture more than what is just, like, the standard, like like, n no thoughts, head empty, like, "Oh,
Mm,
la-di-da-di-da. We live in a perfect world of sunshines, rainbows. Please give me a
mm,
unicorn and some candy."
mm,
And so I think to start it off with a very serious topic that children at that age face, like the words of adults, which can seem like the world
mhm.
wearing you down, faced with hardship and everybody having their own circumstances. And I don't know. I just it showed the beginning of what like is Kobato's true character, which is unconditional love, which
Oh
is
my
what makes
god.
this mission so special to her. Like it's why she was chosen to go on this mission and to help Irogi-san because she is the person who can unconditionally care for all these people, even if they're just strangers. Anyway, final episode of Kobato, at least that we watched on air and that we'll be talking about. We have episode 3, A Gift from the Rain. Sayaka spots Kobato sleeping in a park and takes her to a friend, Chitose Mihara, who gives her a room in her apartment building. Kobato runs into a schoolgirl, Mutsumi, outside. The next day, after failing to help anyone, Kobato gets her umbrella stolen and runs into Mutsumi again, who lets Kobato borrow her umbrella. They meet again later, and Mutsumi sees her crush, Katsuragi, underneath another umbrella with another girl. The next day, Kobato asks Katsuragi to share an umbrella with Mutsumi. Mutsumi meets him, and they leave together, giving Kobato another completo.
This is the episode about misunderstanding. That's all.
So obviously in shoujo, love is like a major like part of the theme. It's like a young girl's heart, if you will. And so I think it was cute to see someone like Kobato who's very innocent and doesn't like fully like she knows what love is. She knows what unconditional love is. But like that kind of love, like a romance, if you will, she doesn't fully obviously she knows, oh, two people are in love, but throughout this episode, like we see her trying to help Mutsumi, and she obviously to an extent understands that she likes Katsuragi, but I don't think she understands that like up until the end, like when she gets jealous of like the whole umbrella scene, that like, oh, she has a crush on him. Oh, that's why. Or that like couples share an umbrella and that's like a thing, like a cultural thing in like high school culture in Japan. And it's also where we see her be a little clumsier with other people's feelings, like not intentionally, like she does her best to understand, but it shows that again, she's a little clumsy, like she's not perfect, which is very again refreshing of Kobato and cute as always.
I searched it up. Kobato, I thought Kobato was a shoujo too, but it's actually a seinen. So it's for young adult male magazines.
Really?
So not a shonen, but a seinen. Yes, I searched it up earlier, and it's true.
That's crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's insane. But I guess it kind of makes sense. The second like main character is Fujimoto, but at the same time, dang.
But the thing is, Clamp goes into all those different stuff, like for their shoujo series, for their shonen series. All of them share like the same type of themes and characters. Like art styles change a little bit every now and then, but for the most theming, like some of their most violent stuff of Clamp are shoujo, like literal shoujo stuff. So right. I mean, like, they and shoujo can be violent in any type of series because there's some shoujo out there. A lot of shoujo out there. We only see a lot of the romance stuff, but
I think I get it, but like I don't want to explain it right now because obviously I don't want to spoil anything. But like we can talk about it after because I think I get it. Okay. As to why it could. I get the vein. I let it cook. I understand. But anyway, I guess.
So
it's crazy.
What do you think about Miss Sayaka?
I think she's a bleeding heart. Like, I really admire her, obviously, and as someone who has finished the series, I almost feel like she's a little too nice. Like, she has her serious side, she is willing to stand up for herself, but I feel like, to an extent, like, she's very much a pushover. Like, she's very, like, she has what she cares about, but at the same time, I don't know that she has, like, the strength herself to fully, like, be able to protect everything that she has. Which, obviously, that's not her fault, but at the same time, I feel like, my girl needs a break. Obviously, she has Kobato and Fujimoto now. So, like, she has, like, comfort and companionship that she needs, like, a support system to grow and to develop, which she does. But at the same time, like, at the beginning, I just remember thinking, oh, she's so nice. She just gets taken advantage of, doesn't she? Like she's out there feeding the poor, helping children, taking in homeless people. But the crazy thing is too, her father was the same way. They adopted Fujimoto and like took him in when he had nobody, which I guess it all stems back from that, which, you learn from those who raise you. But I think she also needs to have a lesson on caring for herself. She needs to be careful about just going out and helping other people because as we see later on, it puts her in a position where she can get in trouble and have things happen to her. I believe that when you put out good, you get good. Sure, from what I've seen at the end and in the beyond what the story tells, I'm sure she got good. I'm sure she got the best because she is best girl.
It was also interesting to see other series. Clamp multiverse characters like Chitose and her 2 daughters. They came in this episode, right? Her 2 twin daughters?
Did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the
because she
bedding
was at the
stuff.
beginning, and then her daughters are
Mhm.
at the end.
And they
But
brought
yeah.
her bedding because she didn't have a bed to lay on.
Yeah.
And
That's so
also
funny. She woke up and she had the floor mat printed on her cheek.
yes, yes,
Fujimoto just
and
called her right in the morning. "Oh, nice floor mat."
yeah, and what's her name?
Which one?
Mutsumi, because she was talking to Kobato and outs because what happened is she ended up giving Kobato her umbrella so she could borrow. And so Kobato went and brought it back to her at her school. And so she was and the guy that she likes ended up like saying something about her hair or whatever. And then Kobato was like, "It's okay, I have a floor mark on my cheek."
Yeah. It was real cute, and so I think what I like about this moment too is because so as of up until this point, aside from children, everybody else has been a little more like I say mature in comparison to
Mhm.
Kobato. They've been taking a very like guiding role in Kobato's like new life. Meanwhile, Mutsumi was kind of like this breath of fresh air, like somebody her age, like
Yeah.
what could be like this future like BFF like character who enjoy her naivety while also learning at like I say what is more like a pace for a young adult like that, like a teenager. Which I
Mhm.
don't think Kabato's actually a teenager. I think sh
She is something they keep calling her a kid, so I don't know,
yes.
like, what age she is. Not that people don't call kids in their 20s, 20s, they do.
Yeah.
Kid
I
20
wanna
people in their
say
20s,
I
yeah.
can't remember what her exact age is, but for some reason in my
Mhm.
brain, I feel like she's
I feel like she's in her late teens, that's what I feel
You
like.
think? Because I
I definitely
definitely know she's not a high school.
yeah. But that's, like, the same thing, late teens, early 20s is, like, the
Yeah.
same it's the same thing. So I don't really know, like she's in between that. I
Yeah.
don't think they say her age. But she has those sensibilities and stuff like that, and that's how
Yeah.
she act. And the older people, even like Fujimoto and stuff, call her a kid sometimes. So I
Yeah.
don't know how old she is.
Like you said, it has to be late teens, early 20s, like, somewhere in that I don't know. It's complicated in her circumstance. But regardless, like, she just because she acts very naive, people assume that she isn't as old as she is, which makes sense, but I feel like this is the first time we see her true age 'cause, Mutsumi, although she's, like, a little more outgoing, you can see the comparison of how Kobato, although she's, like, more, like, youthful, she's older. She does
Uh-huh.
have a little bit more of not necessarily big sister energy, but, like, definitely a little bit more of, like, older, obviously, than this high school girl. But it was real cute, and, like, the idea of sharing umbrellas and, like, helping other like, going out of your way to help other people was really nice.
Mhm.
And the little bit of high school drama, you get that little bit of, "Oh, the boy I like doesn't like me, he's sharing an umbrella with another girl," which I don't know. Like, the thing about that too, though, in my opinion, is, like, people making assumptions when they don't know the facts.
Yeah, she made an assumption. She just saw him. And it's fine. It's weird. I always find it weird when I know she's young, but I'm young too. And when people like in that age range, around that age range too, just make such assumption. Oh, everybody does it. We all have our blind spots. But when you just see something and you just make an assumption, she never even asked him. She just assumed that he had a girlfriend.
Which I get why she might guess the
Yeah.
cultural, like,
Yeah.
people, like, announce or what's the word? The way they present a relationship partially, like, in that kinda manner. At the
Mhm.
same time, no offense, I wouldn't make that assumption, and even if she liked him, why didn't she be like, confront him? Because we kind of see in the beginning, uh, Katsuragi and, Mutsumi kinda have that, like, bantering relationship we kind of see with Kobato and Fujimoto. It's a
Mhm.
little more aggressive, if you will, because obviously Mutsumi kind of fights back at
Mhm.
Katsuragi, and, like, they're both kind of a very, um, extroverted kinda way. But, like, she didn't say anything to him, which I guess she maybe didn't wanna know the answer, but I don't know, it's a high school love, so obviously this kinda
Yeah.
relationship ain't lasting forever, maybe it won't even go anywhere.
I don't know. I mean, they only appear an episode. It might. I don't know. But, I mean, she jumped to conclusions. People do it. People do it. That's all I can say. And it was sweet though when Kabato got them together and she spoke up for her and was like she had her umbrella and she gave it to him and
Yeah.
she wants him to walk Sumi home. And that was so sweet and how they got together like that. And that's really how young people be acting. Like they pretend like they don't like each other, but like they like each other. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
making whatever. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Like I said, the
So
relationship was cute for sure, but at the same time, I was definitely like, I don't know. I thought it was uber cute, but it gave me a little bit of secondhand embarrassment, for being real. I was
secondhand
like,
embarrassment, really?
yeah. I was like,
You feel
dang, out
embarrassed?
of my girl's feelings like that, Kobato. But it had to be done because obviously
You have to. Mhm,
Mutsumi was not going to stand up for herself. Let's be real. She was just going to let that relationship die. Which,
mhm. I don't
if you
get it.
like somebody, you better just
Mhm.
fight for your right.
I was about to say, fight for it. Go ahead and fight for it. If he has a girlfriend, then he has a girlfriend. You revealed your feelings. The worst that can happen is he tells you no. That's literally the worst that can happen. And I know a
Yeah.
no feels like it can destroy you or whatever, but it's a thing that you get over. You know what I mean?
It's-
That's literally the worst thing that can happen. So I would have just told him my feelings. I'm like, I like you. Do you like me?
I know it's not that hard, but at the same time, we're also kind of biased because we're like, I guess older, and also at the same time, like, I don't know.
I don't know. People our age do it too. So I can't. Me and you would
Mhm.
probably do it, right?
Yeah.
We'd say that we like somebody. Other people our age probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because I was gonna say, oh, if I felt like I was kind of like, I guess, romantically involved with somebody, if this girl is so upset like she is, obviously she assumed that there was some kind of like relationship going on beyond what it was. And if
Mm.
that's the case, that's when you go bust them over. You're like, hey yo, bro, I thought we was talking. And if he says no, then I was like, okay, we're not talking. We're done. You know?
They
Then
weren't
just
talking
move
though.
on. Just move on.
They talked in class. That's it. They never said nothing to
Exactly.
each other. This one of them they weren't talking. They were not
Yeah.
texting each other. They were not doing. I can tell you that now. They were not talking. It is one of them. So it was cute though. It was cute, and I liked it. I liked this episode. It was
Yeah.
my second favorite out of three. My first being the second episode, and of course the third being the first episode.
Yeah.
I liked it. I like this show so far.
And what I thought was cute too, at the end of it, we also see new characters, if you will, Kohaku and I think it's Shuichi. And it ends with them kind of like feeling something off. And I found that was like really cute because bringing up Wish, Kohaku is actually from that series, which focuses again on a relationship, like two lovers finding each other, if you will. And so for them to have that little tidbit as well after having like this episode about a couple
So you
romantic.
read Wish, right?
Yes. It's been a long
So
time, so I'm not like perfect. So pardon me if somebody in the comment tries to dox me for getting some facts wrong.
does it take place in the same universe as Kabato, or does it take place in a multiverse?
Spoiler alert for Wish. Just putting that out there. So Wish
Don't.
follows Kohaku, who is an angel from the heavenly realm. And one day, while on a mission in the human realm, Kohaku meets Shuichi, who is a doctor who saves her after, or her. So angels don't have genders, but the pronouns they use are her, just because they
Yeah,
look more feminine.
on the show they say her.
Since Shuichi is a doctor, he basically helps heal her, and she, of course, falls in love with him. But humans and angels cannot be together, technically, because of like the different principles of their world and, the usual blah, blah, blah BS that they give you, like, you can't be together. The worlds will not allow. So,
Try me. Try
yeah,
me.
that's what Kohaku said because Kohaku decided to do everything she could to stay with Shuichi. And if I remember correctly, this takes place like not in Kobato's time. This takes place a little bit like further in the past, like not super long, but long enough to where technically it's like another like decade, say. And so I forget like what tragedy arises, but basically Kohaku sacrifices her soul and in exchange gets to be with Koichi in the next life that he is born. I want to say obviously she's still an angel, but she basically is completely cut off from the heavenly world, can no longer be with her family or her companions that she's had for however many years that she's existed,
Okay.
and instead chooses to follow him.
So this
So,
takes place in another world, then I guess, huh?
well, I wouldn't say another
Another life.
world.
Another
Yes, another
life.
life. Yes.
Okay. So somehow they get together and find each other again,
Yes.
and she still has her powers.
Not to full extent. I think she's technically like still an angel, like a Nephilim or something. She was a very powerful, like warrior kind of angel. Like angels in the connotation of this world are more like soldiers, like warriors. So of course, these characters play a role later on. I just thought it was cute that they introduced them in the Lovers episode,
That
and you
makes
kind of
sense.
get the more seasoned couple stepping in and making their little appearance, which was just kind of cute.
Kobato
Yeah.
reminds me of a good, it reminds me of a really good Precure show. Oh, just Precure. I love Precure. And so Kobato reminds me a lot of Precure, like the mature storytelling. Even Precure, even though Precure's for kids, a lot of these shows have a similar level of mature storytelling. And it especially reminds me of Heartcatch Precure. A lot of episodes of Heartcatch Precure remind me of a lot of the Kobato episodes because it has the same level of maturity and it also a kind of innocence to it too, but in a
Mhm.
way that's just like really, it's really mature. That's all I can say. And those two shows are very similar to me in that way, in that outlook. And I enjoy it so much.
I haven't finished the manga yet, so I can't tell you of like the accuracy of the show to the source material, if you will, because a lot of the shows that came out during this time period were definitely like exceeding the speed of their original source material.
And a lot of them
But
ended before, like this one ended before the manga. So
yeah,
it could only go so far.
I feel like it would have still had a very similar outcome.
If you're talking to the creators, they'll probably give you an idea of like how they want it to end, even if they decide to end it differently. But usually people who write have the ending in mind before they start writing anything. So
Yeah.
it's probably similar.
I gotta get back on Kobato. Like you mentioned, how like sometimes stuff you kind of get left behind on just because you're
Mhm,
busy or something happens.
mhm.
That's kind of feel with Kobato. I've neglected her for a little bit recently, even though I finished the show a while back. But I feel like this makes me want to rewatch it. It makes me want to catch back up on the manga, get some clarity,
Yeah.
say I told you
So
so about some stuff.
say you told me so. Oh, okay, Sabrina.
Well, not
Okay, so
you. I meant like, just as a whole, I like to predict stuff before they end sometimes, and I'm like, "Oh, I knew
yeah.
it."
I like to read about stuff before I watch it. I like to spoil myself. That's
No, I
my
try not
whole thing.
to.
My sister gets upset at me because I be looking and I read about a show. I don't say anything, but I might just allude to something. I'll be like, and she'll be like, "What? You searched it up, didn't you? You search it up." Sometimes I don't even search up a show. I just do it to mess with her. I'll be like, interesting how this person does that. And it's always funny because even when I be guessing, I'm usually right. So like it she always be like, you read about the show, didn't you?" I'm like, "No, I didn't read that." Like usually I'm like, "I didn't read it." But then sometimes I do read on the show and I just do that to her.
I'm
And
the
I
same
find
way.
this
I'm a really good guesser. Like, it got to the point where in college, like when I would watch anime with my friends, I was not allowed to guess anything because I spoiled a couple shows. It was just like, we're not doing this anymore. We're not.
sometimes it's obvious. And the best part about guessing something is to sometimes not think of the obvious. And so you just allow yourself to think about all the possibilities. And then the one that seems most relative is usually the one that somebody's going to go for. This character's going to die. How do you know that? You read about it. No, I can tell this character's going to die. It's like DIE all in big red bold letters on their shirt right there. Die.
Yeah, the red
But
flags.
the red flags is right there. Yeah. But I enjoyed this show.
And we're back! Okay, you guys, are you ready? How many Clamp series have cameos in Kobato? A. 8, B. 2, C. 10, or D. 14? If you answered 8, then you are on the right track. And, knowing Clamp, there are probably more. Want to know what they are? Alright, here we go! Angelic Lair, Cardcaptor Sakura, Chobits, Drug and Drop, Magic Knight Rare, Suki A Like Story, Wish, and Triple X Holic. If you got it right, let us know in the Q&A response on the Spotify app. Now, back to the episode!
Sabrina, what's your favorite Clamp series? That's what I want to ask.
Okay, so that's hard because, of course, like automatically, I'm like, oh, Cardcaptor Sakura, like hands down, just because like my ride or die, it's who like started it all for me. I loved the story, the concept of the cards, like how this whole, I guess, history, if you will, of a sorcerer in the family and how one can be all powerful, but that doesn't necessarily equate to happiness. And then Triple X Holic is just like funny. It's a little spooky. It's a little bit of like the edge, if you will. Like if we're to put them on a spectrum, it would definitely be like Kobato is like the nice light. Cardcaptor Sakura is like a nice middle that has the good, happy-go-lucky parts of children, but it also has the underlying darkness. And then of course Triple X Holic, which is like the darkness behind it all that nobody wants to talk about, and the inner workings of this multifaceted dimensional world that connects all of the clamp, if you will.
Mhm. So, did you start reading Clear Cart yet?
Um,
Because I know they just finished it last month. They having the bonus chapter
I
come out in March, but they just finished it.
I have a couple of the volumes of it. I just haven't gotten the chance to catch up and fully get back into it.
Like a few years ago, they've been releasing the newest chapters for free. They literally have a YouTube channel. They release them like for free for a month for you to read the
Huh,
chapter until the next chapter comes out.
catch me, I'm gonna be
So
over there.
yeah, I'm not even sure if they have them all anymore. I used to read it when I had Comixology, but Comixology doesn't exist anymore. Them being dumb and stuff. That's where I used to read like my comic books and stuff like that. I had a Comixology account and a Marvel Unlimited account. Every now and then I go back to Marvel Unlimited, but Comixology is gone. It's donezo. But I guess I'll tell you my favorite, of course, is Cardcaptor Sakura, because it's one of the two that I looked at that I finished. Rig Veda is another one. I guess I have to say, I don't have to say it's my second favorite. I'll say Magic Knight Ray Earth is my second favorite out of the ones that I watch. Oh,
Mhm,
and Kabato. Since I have to finish both of those, I have to see. Magic Knight Ray Earth or Kabato will probably take the second spot, but I don't know yet because I haven't finished them yet. And they both have their unique qualities. I will say Kabato kept me a bit interested more
mhm,
because it had less of a rough start. I do think Magic Knight Ray Earth, when you first watch it, it's rushed in a few areas. The anime, I have not read the manga, so I'm gonna have to go back because I do remember when I was watching Magic Knight Ray Earth, I was having it on in the background because I really wasn't paying attention to it because it didn't catch my attention. So I might go back and like start from like the second or third episode, whichever episode I stopped paying attention on, and just go from there just to compare the two. But Rig Veda, its manga just messed me up. I liked it, but ooh,
it'd be like that, sadly.
man. So Sabrina, what have you been before we end today's episode? What have you been watching or reading or doing as of late? What's been your like fanatic space lately?
So, of course, I'm always on my villainess trope hype. I gotta get me some quote unquote evil women and hear about their plots to change their fates. Uh, but on top of that, of course, Genshin's had some updates that I've been really involved in. Obsessed. By the time I think this airs, we'll be in Lantern Rite season, which is the
Mhm.
beginning of Lunar New Year, which is always exciting. I live in an Asian household, so my housemates are already getting ready to celebrate, getting ready for trips to the temple, little house parties that I'm gonna hide from,
Oh
the
my.
usual. And I've been getting back into art recently. Well, not that I ever stopped, really.
Yeah.
But I have that gallery showing in March that I'm trying to prepare some stuff for. Just all that kind of good stuff. What about you, Kaiser?
So I just finished watching before this podcast the Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth State of Play, where they showed off gameplay and a trailer because the game is coming out this month. I am ready
Mm.
to watch walkthroughs of it until I buy it myself responsibly.
Yeah.
But you ever see characters that you're just in love with, that you just fall in love with on first sight? You ever
Yeah.
have those characters? Oh my god, Tifa and Aerith. Because people usually team Tifa or team Aerith. I played Final Fantasy Remake, and I never fell in love with two characters so fast when they were introduced. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, these are the loves of my life. Aerith, do not die. That's how I feel. Do you know about this spoiler?
I don't, but it's okay. You can spoil me.
Okay, so Sephiroth comes out of the air with his long sword and stabs Aerith and kills her. That happens like the middle of the game, and that's like the thing. And then so she's dead. And this came out in the 90s, so it was a big plot twist. And everybody's wondering now, is Aerith gonna die or not? Is Aerith gonna die or not? And Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth are obviously doing new things, retelling the story, but not really actually retelling the story, right? They going off left field. The first one they were retelling the story and then dropping some hints, and then things changed at the end, like drastically. And now part 2 is happening, and you can already tell that it's just like a whole new story. That is probably that these games are not really remakes, but they're actually sequels. So it's getting interesting there, and I'm in love with Tifa and Aerith. I like Cloud, but like he could die. Let him be the one taking out my Sephiroth because I want my Aerith to stay here with me forever. Please do not leave me. Besides that, I watched Masters of the Universe Revolution, which is the He-Man show. That is it's only 5 episodes. That's the sequel. So it took me I watched it over a few days. So it didn't take me that long to watch. It's the sequel to Masters of the Universe Revelation, which is the sequel to the original He-Man cartoon. So that was interesting to watch and fun to watch. I enjoyed that a lot. He-Man and Tila had on these outfits that were really cool. I don't want to spoil it, but we are going to do an episode of Masters of the Universe in the upcoming months. So it's going to be interesting to talk about that. But I really enjoyed that. And I'm, again, still playing Marvel Midnight Suns, the game that's taking me forever to finish because I hardly play it. But when I do play it, I play it for hours and hours on end. So when I play that, I try to play it at a time where I'm not busy. That's why it takes me so long to play, because I make sure I play it early, right? So I can have time throughout the day, because I know the next time I play it is it's not going to be for a while. So I'm enjoying Marvel Midnight Suns. I'm in the middle of the story. I'm in the second act of the story, which I've been in for a while. So I'm getting way closer to the ending, but I'm trying to finish the DLC story first before I get to the third and final chapter. So that's what I am doing. And yeah, I'm just like really excited for that. And all the JRPGs coming out. Persona 3 Reload just came out. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting that game unless they release a version with the female character as the main character. Then I'm not getting that. Not because I don't like Persona 3 Royal without her, but she just adds a different aspect. I said Persona 3 Royal. Persona 3 without her. It's Persona 5 Royal, the re-release of Persona 5, because Atlas has a habit of doing that. It's not because I don't like the story without her. I just like her perspective better than I like the male MC. And it's about time, because she was only playable in Persona 3 Portable. It's about time you give the female character her time to shine, where she is playable in a fully 3D world, because in Persona 3 Portable, where she was playable, and the main character, because it was like Pokemon, choose your character. But in this case, they changed like some aspects of the stories. She had social links that the male character didn't have, because in the original Persona 3, the male character could only have social links with the female party members and like some other people like outside. If you don't know, in Persona, social links are where you talk to characters, you like say the answer, some characters you can date or whatever. So he had only the female party members plus other characters outside of your party that you also have social links with. With her, she had the female characters as social links. Then she had also the male party members as social links, so you could romance the male party members. And she had new social links for her friends, plus the social links of some of the male MC social links. So she had all the different social links, but it was a visual novel type of thing. So when you were in Tartarus, which is the place you go and fight and stuff and explore, that was fully 3D. But when you were out and about exploring in the Persona world in a regular time, you had this visual novel type of thing going on, because it was on the PSP. And so it was a lot for that to handle. And so I need her in a fully playable 3D world now, because it's ridiculous. She's been around since 2009, 2010. She deserves her time to shine as the female playable protagonist in Persona 3, because Persona doesn't really have a lot of female playable protagonists. And there are some rumors that they're going to re-release Persona 2 and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, which actually had the first female main protagonist in Eternal Punishment. But like, give us Femc. Give us Katone. Let us play as her in a fully 3D world. So that's my opinion. I'm excited. You know what I'm excited for, Sabrina? This is a show we're going to be talking about when it comes out. X-Men 97. I'm excited for that. They're starting to do these leaked images, and we're starting to get posters and stuff. I need the trailer for X-Men 97 to come out now, which is the sequel show to the original X-Men animated series. I need it now. I've been waiting I've been waiting for a new X-Men show to come out since 2009 or 2010, whenever Wolverine and X-Men ended. I remember when that ended and just like the hole that it had. X-Men anime does not count because that was not good. I need me some X-Men 97 in my veins now. I need it now. No.
Obviously, I'm excited for the Princess Peach game. I'm like, my whole life revolves around it. I thought it was coming out this month, but I'm a liar. It doesn't come out until next month, which we'll be recording an episode on. Oh, my favorite artist is releasing her book that went on pre-order of like last September? Last July. And I purchased a limited edition special copy. And I'm just like begging for the crumbs. So, do you know the Hades games? Or Hades games?
Yes.
Hades 2 is supposed to come out sometime this year, which
Yeah,
I'm also
it
really
is.
excited about. Because it's like a female perspective of his quote unquote sister, which
I
I
thought it
want
was
to
his
say.
daughter, his sister. I
I
don't
think it's
remember. I
his
never
sister.
played Hades.
So,
Oh, okay.
to my knowledge, I thought it was so we know Zagreus is so it's Hades's. I don't know if it's Hades's daughter actually. I just know that it's the daughter of Nyx, if I remember correctly, and she's a sorcerer in mythology. And so the premise of the game is that Hades has been imprisoned by the Titans, and so it's up to Zagreus to take over Hell and keep it managed, while his like kind of sister basically takes on the dungeons to try and take down the Titans, basically.
Are you a roguelike fan?
I enjoy
What type of
watching
game?
them, but I like suck at playing them, if we're being honest.
I played one that I enjoyed so much on Apple Arcade, of all places. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. That was my first roguelike. And I didn't know, like, with roguelikes, you go and then you go again to get further in the game, and then you go again and the story changes and then characters change, and you like repeat and repeat until you get to the place. And I had fun with it. I liked that so much, and it was nice. I didn't expect that to be like such a Apple Arcade games are very like good. I don't know what people have against mobile games. I don't know. I guess it's because I grew up playing mobile games like Final Fantasy. That's how I played my first Final Fantasy. It was on mobile. It was on my iPhone 4S. I had an iPhone. Is it a 4S? That's what they were called. The second
I don't
iPhone
know.
4s.
I didn't have
Yeah,
a phone until I
I
was
was
in
13.
college. High school, college.
Yeah, I was 13 or 14. That's when I got my first phone. And I had that 4S for the longest time. And I got the Final Fantasy 4 3D remake on there. And that was my first Final Fantasy I played on there. I got Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 6. And so I was used to playing my games on my phone, paying overly expensive money whenever I got my stuff, like my money for Christmas. Because I'll get like App Store cards or whatever for Christmas. Because they will be on sale. Because I wait till the end of the year when it was on sale, pay like my $15, and then play my Final Fantasy games. And I played so many different games on my phone to where it's just very easy for me to play on my phone. And I have small hands. My hands are really small. So the problem that a lot of people have with playing games on their phones, I really just don't have. I can put my hand on my phone and play a game easily. See, look, my thumbs don't even take up even half my screen. It takes up very small amounts of my screen. My hands are small. Like, I have small wrists. Look at that. So, I don't have a problem playing on my phone. I find it very easy. But a lot of people find it very challenging. I guess that's their problem, but that's how I like to play a lot of my games. I'm so used to it. It's very easy for me to play games, like big name games that are actually full-length games, not just like gotcha games on my phone. Oh, and I've been playing a new Atelier game. You should get into Atelier like I told you. Atelier Wrestleriana, it's so good. It's basically a mobile-fied version of an Atelier game, but it's really fun. If people are not into gacha games, I really suggest, because Wrestleriana, they take the things in Atelier games and they bring them down a bit to fit like the gacha model or whatever, but it's very generous. So I think you should play that. Like, you can get like 400 energy per day, or is it 200 energy per day? So you never really run out of energy or anything. You just have fun. The story is really good and wholesome. And if you're not into gacha games, just get your regular Atelier game, because they are cozy, they are wholesome, they have good battle systems, and they're just real nice games. They're also expensive though, so I haven't played too many of them because I'm trying to be a responsible adult and use my money wisely whenever I get paid. You know what I mean? But wait till the end of the year if you need to. They have the trilogies because the trilogies be like $90. So that's why, because they put the trilogies all in bundles and they hardly go on sale unless it's a special time of the year, like on this PlayStation sale or a Steam sale, Switch sale. But they're so good. I recommend the Dusk trilogy or the Ryza trilogy because those are some good trilogies. Or the Mysterious trilogy. The Ryza trilogy is the most recent one. So they're the games that play the best. But it's so good. You need to play an Atelier game. That's what I say.
I'll play that if you play one of my favorite games,
What?
Fear and Hunger.
Fear and Hunger? What is that?
It's the world's most graphic and scariest game.
Oh no, I don't play graphic and scary games like that. Like the most graphic and scary game I've been playing is Tomb Raider, like the reboot. And those can get graphic because if she dies, she has some of the most horrible death scenes. I remember one time, like, she was going through the water and like wood and stuff was falling. And so if you run into something, she'll have the death scene of it going through her throat and then her dying like that. Ooh, that's as much as I'll take. But I love Tomb Raider, so I wouldn't even take that with most games. So yeah, you don't have to play Atelier if you don't want to, because I ain't playing that. I'm just gonna be honest.
Come on, it's so good. It's Fear and Hunger.
I
You just
don't
got
like
fight your way through the dungeon, cannibalize your companions.
the
Like
scariest thing I'll go for is Resident Evil because Resident Evil isn't that scary.
what
Sometimes it's scary when you're playing it, but that's as far as I'll go because I'm not a horror person.
have you ever done like Bloodborne or Elden Ring?
I don't like playing games that are hard. Like whenever I put my games on a mode is either normal or easy. I need to relax when I'm playing my games. And I know with those type of games, you can find ways to get cheated and get strong and stuff. But I ain't doing all that. I don't want to do all that.
You
I
don't want to
want to
get
play my game.
cracked.
Yeah, because I will probably get into it, but those are the games I just don't want to get into. That's just the thing. I play hard games every now and then, but I don't want to take a game that when I already have trouble finishing games now and then playing a hard game that I have to dedicate to like that. It's
I
just not
understand.
it. It's not it. I used to play games a lot, but as someone who grew up in a family who, besides like my little cousins, which are like years younger than me, playing games sometimes with them, and one of my cousins who's like a year younger than me, we were like, so we play games a lot together, but there was few in between. So I was very used to playing games by myself.
Mhm.
And so in college, when I did start playing games with other people, I was so amazed. And I'm like, wow, playing games with other people is so fun. And so now when I play games by myself, I enjoy it, but I'm not into it as much as I used to be because I don't know. So I love gaming and I love to play games and I play games when I can, but it's just hard for me to dedicate to games lately these past few years. It's just been that way. So it's really easy for me to get into games when other people are playing them with me too, which I
Mhm.
rarely do. I rarely play games with other people. It is what it is. Eventually, I'm gonna find my step and get back into it. Like I say, I play Midnight Suns for hours when I turn on that game. I love it so much. I love me a good Tomb Raider. I love me some good JRPGs. So it's not like, I don't play games or that I don't enjoy playing games by myself because I do. It's just like sometimes harder now. It's
I
harder.
understand. Sometimes it is like that. It's like very daunting. It's why Hannah and I try at least like once a week to play Genshin together because as much fun as it is to play alone, with like how late game we both are, we're basically finished. And because of that, it can be like a little, I wouldn't say boring, but daunting to play on your own sometimes. Or like when you need materials, it's like to go by yourself and like farm all these materials on your own. It can be like really like Hannah hates it. Hannah hates farming. So I have to be the one to be like, come on, Hannah, we're going farming. And be like, fine, but we're only doing one material today. And I'm like, oh, but you need all these materials. And she's like, I know I need them, but I don't want to do all that. It's so much work. And I'm like, I understand, but you need it.
That's why it's hard for me to get into gacha games because I'll get in them for a little bit and then I just fall off. I fall off gacha games so hard and I just don't go back to them. And then if I do go back to them, it's like a year or two later and events have happened, this has happened, that has happened. And I'm not spending money on no gacha game either. I'm not the type of person who spends money on that stuff. If I'm spending money, I'm usually spending money on a full game, which I do a lot. And I have a whole backlog of games that I have not finished. Like Persona 5 Royal. I got that game in 2020 on Christmas. Somebody bought that game for me, which was very nice. And I still have not finished that game.
Well,
I still have not finished that game. And it's almost been 4 years.
dang.
So I keep thinking of going back to it because I always go back to it and then I always just don't. And I love Persona games are so fun to play too. They are just so fun. So when I play them, I'm like, wow, I love this so much. But it's just a wow. It's just hard for me to finish games now. It really is because I love playing games so much. It's just hard for me to finish games. So I'm gonna have to get like a Switch or something when the new Switch comes out. When the new Switch comes out, I'll get one and get some multiplayer games and stuff like that, so it can get me in the groove of finishing games again. Because the last game I finished was last year, I think. Yeah, it was last year. I don't know if it was Sakura Wars. I love me Sakura Wars, or if it was a game Phoenix Wright. The last game I finished was the first Phoenix Wright game, not the trilogy. I didn't start the second game yet. I started the Great Ace Attorney, but it'd be hard for me to get into that game too. Not because I don't like it, but sometimes it requires a certain type of energy to get into.
Yes.
Yeah, mindset. Sometimes I just not in that mindset. But it is what it is. And we've been talking for a long time. So it's the end of the episode, guys. Sabrina, do you remember what we're going to talk about next week so the fanatics can know?
Of course. Next week we're going to be talking about the Tomb Raider remastering.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the Tomb Raider series overall in celebration for the Tomb Raider remaster that comes out on February 14th, 2024, which is Valentine's Day.
What?
Yay. For you guys, it's going to be Valentine's Day. For us, it's going to be tomorrow because that's when we record it. But it's going to be fun. We're going to learn about the history of Lara Croft. It's going to be great. I love Lara Croft as a character. I've played most of the Tomb Raider games out there, so it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. We're going to learn about the history. We're going to learn about the character. Lara Croft is great. It's great. Thank you guys for listening today. We hope you had some fun. We hope you go and watch Kobato if you never watched it. We hope you go and rewatch Kobato if you have watched it. And just enjoy you some good anime. And watch some Precure too, because I'm always there for Precure. Because I watched Precure All-Stars F the other day. That's the newest Precure movie. Oh, it was so good. Wow, it's just so good to see past characters come back when they have crossover movies like that. Oh, it was so good. It was for the 20th anniversary, which technically the 20th anniversary was just a few days ago. But Precure does their anniversaries like a year ahead for some reason. So I don't know. But you guys, thank you. Thank you for listening to our episode. We love you guys. We'll talk to you later. If you have anything to tell us, send us, everything at IFO Fans on every social media network and stuff. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the newest episode of the So I'm a Fan of podcast.
Don't forget to support us by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so that we can reach out to as many people as we can.
And you can view our socials at IAFO Fans on X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Reddit.
And our merch at iafofans.com. We have lots of exciting things in store for you, so come and listen to us next time. See ya, fellow fanatics.
Peace.